Where do you think we went wrong? Why do you think we're at the point where people are even entertaining this kind of legislation? I think even 10 years ago, you wouldn't have seen a bill like this.
Unfortunately, I think a lot of conservative leaning people, like we sort of checked out. We trusted institutions. We said, like, I'm going to send my kids to school. I went to public schools.
Same.
When I was going to public schools, I was like, what kind of a snooty person sends their kid to private schools? And what kind of a weirdo, I homeschool my kids now. What kind of a weirdo homeschools their kids? That was kind of the way I grew up thinking, but that's because I had this just baseline of trust in those institutions. And then just because of like kind of the way my life has gone, I start to question institutions more now. But I think that's kind of been the conservative model is we put our nose in the grindstone, we work, we go to church, and we trust the school system. Why wouldn't you trust the school system? That nice teacher, why would she want to groom or indoctrinate my child? But then you see what the left did in the universities in particular, and they specifically targeted education. They targeted the libraries, and so now they've had this total control. And people for years didn't show up or even know they could show up at their school board meetings, their city council meetings. Lack of voter participation. With the left, I think you have this whole ideology that is very much their religion. Like politics is kind of like all they have, and so they go all in. And unfortunately, like we're the side that wants to be left alone, and the side that wants to be left alone, I think will always get beaten by the side that is just, this is ideologically where they're at.
Do you think conservatives have an obligation to launch their own ground game? Should they be the ones infiltrating?
100%.
I feel like the answer, and both of you are dads, happy belated Father's Day.
Thank you.
Is that you pull your kids, you homeschool, you find go off, do your own thing. But on the other hand, that leaves children whose parents aren't.
It does,
you guys in the most vulnerable position.
Yeah.
Conservatives have an obligation to intercede in the institutions that they feel they've lost.
Yes, I think so. I mean, a lot of the folks that consistently go to school board meetings in my district, they've pulled their kids out, but they still go to the school board meetings. A lot of it too is just like our taxes still go to fund those schools. So it's like, hey, go be a good steward of your own taxpayer dollars and hold these people accountable. But yeah, I think you're right. You need to protect your kids, obviously, first and foremost, but then also realize that, look, if we just completely let these guys go, a lot of parents who probably share values with us, but just like economically, they can't afford it. Both parents are working, they're busy, like they put their kids in those schools. We can't leave those kids behind. So I think we got to continue to fight on that battlefield.
That was the one pleasant way COVID backfired on,
Yes.
on the authorities and the elites, right? Is
Very
like
much.
a lot of people woke up to the idea of, whoa, we can't trust any institution.
Yeah.
Which is, that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate that it took that to happen,
Yeah.
but I saw a lot of people who were also in New York, unplugged from politics, when they were young parents.
Yeah.
But they were left leaning and they saw the way the schools are messing with the kids or just shutting down.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, we can't survive like this. So they turned away from the institutions. And,
Yeah.
but the right has seeded culture for so long, whether it was the universities, public schools, obviously the government, like all these things. So you got to find a way to get in there and change it. I think the universities are lost.
It's tough.
I was a professor for a long time.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So in New York too. And
wow.
I mean, I saw a lot of crazy stuff that they were teaching. I just taught writing classes, but
yeah.
you see a lot of history being taught in a certain way, you're skewed a certain way,
Yeah.
right? And or talking about the cultural evolution a certain way, in like a positive way instead
Yeah.
of a negative way. So they're producing like this is a factory of these ideologues. And I don't know how you're going to change that.